Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. President Donald Trump met with House Republicans in Miami and made it very simple, saying one bill, two bills, I don't care. Trump promised to get a large reconciliation bill passed either way. Dr. Phil joined an ICE team and border czar Tom Homan to witness a Chicago deportation operation firsthand. We have the details and some feedback. Have you heard the latest from PETA? PETA's latest proposal is to replace the beloved Groundhog Day with a vegan weather reveal. I can't make this stuff up, folks. And we'll visit with South Carolina GOP Chairman Drew McKissick and get an update on what's happening in the GOP as we start thinking about reorg this spring.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Over the weekend, President Trump met with House Republicans at his Trump National Doral down in Miami. It's a beautiful place, by the way. Haven't been there. I've just seen a lot of photos and videos from there. I've been past there before, never visited Doral. President Trump promised one thing out loud, and he made this very clear, that one way or the other, we're going to secure the U.S. border once and for all. He's not going to do this halfway. It's not going to be a stopgap. This is going to be a permanent solution for our border. Now, Trump is pushing Congress to deliver on a reconciliation bill that will fund a record increase in border security personnel, full funding again, retention bonuses for ICE and Border Patrol agents, and a plan to restore the sovereignty of our nation's borders. Think about that for a second. This isn't just about a patch job. This is about making permanent, meaningful changes that will finally, once and for all, fix our broken immigration system. Now, it's going to take some time. But let's be honest here. This is exactly what we elected Donald Trump to do, to bring the America First policies to the forefront, to put the safety and security of the American people ahead of partisan bickering. That's what this reconciliation package is all about, and this is why the GOP has to get it done. They got to stick together. We don't have but a few votes there, and we know the Democrats are going to oppose it regardless of what it means. Of course, as always in Washington, there's drama. Imagine that. The big debate among Republicans right now, whether this massive overhaul gets pushed through as one bill or two. The House, led by a more aggressive conservative majority, wants to go big with a single sweeping measure. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans, well, they're kind of leaning towards breaking it into two bills. And let me say this, while there's room for debate, and what I love here is that Trump's focus isn't on the process, it's on the results. He doesn't care how you do it. And that's why he said very clearly, I don't care if it's one bill, if it's two bills, just get it done. Trump said, we don't want to get hung up on the budget process. Whether it's one bill or two bills, I don't care, he said. The bottom line, the end result is going to be the same. Now, exactly. That's the kind of no-nonsense leadership that gets things done. Trump knows what matter here. What matters isn't the process, isn't how we get there. It's the what. What happens? Are we securing the border? Are we protecting our communities? Or are we keeping the promises that he made to the American people? That's what this is all about. And let me remind you why the reconciliation process is so critical here, okay? It bypasses the usual 60-vote requirement in the Senate, allowing legislation to pass with just a 51-seat simple majority, which we can deliver that, I hope. That's a game changer. But there are limits. It can't include anything considered extraneous. It's got to be about what the main purpose of the bill is. So this bill, or bills, if it ends up being broken up, will have to be laser focused on the Trump priorities. And you know what those priorities are? Border security, tax cuts, getting rid of the failed policies that have dragged this country down because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And speaking of tax cuts, Trump didn't stop at immigration reform during the meeting. He also laid out plans for the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in our country's history. He's not just talking about extending the cuts from 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which, by the way, expires this year, you may recall. He's talking about going further, bigger and better. And does this surprise you? Is this not classic Trump? Pushing an agenda that doesn't just maintain the status quo, but takes it to the next level. And this is why his thinking is so critical. Because government typically doesn't think like this. Lower taxes means more money in your pocket in my pocket. It means a stronger economy, more opportunities for hardworking Americans. Let's address another big takeaway, though, from Trump's meeting, and that's party unity. Trump made it crystal clear that Republicans in Congress, they need to stick together because we know the Democrats are. Slim majorities in the House and the Senate mean there's no room for infighting. Democrats might have the wrong ideas, but you got to give them credit. They know how to back each other. They know how to stick together. They know how to come together to stare down their opponent. And Trump's right here when he says Republicans need to do the same. We have to stick together. We have to work together. We have to fight together. And this is where our job starts. Remember, right after the election, the day after the election, I said to you, all right, the easy part's over. We won. Now comes the hard part because we have to hold our slim majority. We got to hold their feet to the fire. This means you got to email them. You got to text them. You got to call them. And folks, I believe Donald Trump, when he says we're going to win together, I believe he is going to make sure that happens. If Republicans can stay united, there's no stopping what we can achieve here. And these are things that will benefit our country for many years to come, for generations. Trump also rolled out a series of executive orders. They're just as bold as his legislative priorities. First, he's directing the Secretary of Defense to start developing an Iron Dome missile defense system for America. It'd be modeled after Israel's incredibly successful program. And this is huge. Hopefully we never have to use it, but it's good to have it if we do. Think about it, protecting our homeland with the most advanced technology available. I mean, look, we're helping fund Israel, so why not have our own? Trump's also taking aim at what he calls the radical left ideologies that are infiltrating our military. He's signing an executive order to remove transgender ideology from the armed forces and end use of so-called invented and identification-based pronouns within the Department of Defense. Love him or hate him, you have to admit Trump is unapologetically committed to his vision of a stronger, more focused military. There's no room in the military for this pronoun nonsense. We don't need men and women in the uniform concerned about whether they say he, him, or her, or whatever. They need to just think about one thing, and that's our enemy. That's who's trying to kill them. That's who's trying to destroy our country, not what someone's pronouns are. And let's not forget the COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Remember those? More than 8,000 service members were kicked out of the military for refusing to take the jab. Trump's putting an end to that nonsense. His new executive order will allow those brave men and women to rejoin at their previous rank, which is the right thing to do. You agree? So here's the bottom line. Trump's doing exactly what he said he's going to do, what we elected him to do, putting America first, whether it's securing the border, delivering historic tax cuts, reforming the military. He's proving once again he's not afraid to take some bold action and to do it in such a way that it will last for a long, long time. And while some in the Republican Party might see, might be debating the finer details of the reconciliation process, one thing's clear. With Donald Trump at the helm, the agenda is moving forward, and it's moving quickly, folks. Have you ever seen so much being done so quickly? So much decisiveness? I mean, how long would it have taken Joe Biden and his team to have accomplished some of the things that Donald Trump did in the first week? Donald Trump has probably worked more hours in these, 8-9 days now, than Joe Biden did in months. He lives and breathes this thing, this stuff. He loves working for the American people. So I want to hear from you. What do you think about Trump's plan to secure the border? Should Republicans push for one massive bill or break it into 2 or 3 or whatever's needed? And how do you feel about these executive orders? Are they the right move for America? Send me a quick text. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. And you can leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com and get the very best deal on every single product. That's promo code Joey at MyPillow.com. There's a lot of talk about making America great again, and it begins with making America healthy again. Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss are at the forefront to educate and guide you to be your best self. The millions being spent in propping up Big Pharma are astounding, only to create long-term dependency and harmful side effects. Let's take a natural approach that isn't connected to a pharmaceutical company's bottom line. The coaches at PhD Weight Loss will show you how. The entire program is centered around science and nutrition, a proven roadmap that has helped over 8,000 clients lose over 331,000 pounds. You'll learn what to eat and when, how to quiet cravings, and finally get rid of that belly fat. Plus, you'll never take a medication. How many pounds would you like to lose in 2025? Do it the natural way with PhD Weight Loss, here to lead the charge to make America healthy again. Call PhD Weight Loss and schedule your consultation. 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. This is what I love about my job. I have one of the best jobs in the world because I get to talk to you about some of these just crazy, crazy things. Have you heard the latest from PETA? PETA's proposal to replace our beloved Groundhog Day with a vegan weather reveal. Now I'm pretty creative, but I'm not creative enough to make this up. This has sparked some strong reactions among supporters of the tradition and animal rights advocates alike. So here's the story. You know who PETA is, the animal welfare group. They argue that subjecting Punxsutawney Phil, am I saying that right? Punxsutawney. You know who Phil is. To loud crowds, flashing lights, and human interaction, that it's cruel and unnatural for the shy groundhog who would otherwise avoid human contact and enjoy activities like burrowing, climbing trees, and hibernating. PETA suggests that replacing the groundhog with a vegan weather reveal cake to maintain the celebratory spirit while eliminating the use of live animals. And PETA feels so strongly about this that they're offering to provide the cake annually, forever, if the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club will retire Phil and send him to a sanctuary. Now, Groundhog Day has been a cherished American tradition since 1887. Before anyone even knew what PETA was, before anyone had even talked about PETA. It attracts thousands of visitors to this area of Pennsylvania every February the 2nd. It's coming up soon. Many view Phil as a symbol of folklore and community pride. Critics of PETA's argue that replacing the groundhog with a cake would diminish the uniqueness of the tradition and disconnect it from its roots. Of course it would. I mean, what's Groundhog Day without the groundhog? And I gotta tell you, Phil, the groundhog, does not care about crowds and noises. He probably loves the attention. This proposal ties into a larger conversation about the ethical treatment of animals in entertainment and traditions. Some argue that modernizing traditions to avoid exploiting animals is necessary, while others believe longstanding customs should be preserved. Put me in that category. Wow. Of course, PETA has a history of provocative campaigns that spark heated debates. And this proposal continues that trend by challenging a lighthearted tradition tied to a community celebration. It's just that simple. The Punxsutawney Groundhog Club has yet to respond publicly to PETA's request. In the meantime, the annual event remains a significant cultural fixture around the country. Look, PETA is nuts. Put me on record as saying that. PETA is nuts. You remember when, and some of you who may have listened to me for a long time, maybe you listened to Mike Gallagher, remember way back when PETA was, of course, objecting to the slaughter of beef, of cattle for beef? And Gallagher went to West Virginia. There was a farmer in West Virginia who donated a cow to be slaughtered and to donate the beef. The cow was named Old Blue. Now, you shouldn't name an animal that you're about to slaughter, but Old Blue was the symbol of this protest. Gallagher went to West Virginia where Old Blue was slaughtered, and the beef, the steaks, the hamburger meat, the beef was donated to a local group, all in protest of PETA, to show PETA that, hey, look, there's a reason that we raise cattle, beef cattle, and that's for their beef. What do you think about Groundhog Day? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. All right, so next story here. Dr. Phil. Picture this. Dr. Phil, you know who he is, the popular television talk show host. Picture him embedded with ICE rolling through Chicago, the sanctuary city of all sanctuary cities. Dr. Phil strapping on a vest, hopping in a vehicle with border czar Tom Homan and a team of agents, and getting an up-and-close personal look at what the Trump administration's immigration enforcement really looks like. And I'm telling you, folks, this was quite amazing. So let's set the stage here. Chicago, of course, beautiful city, incredible people. Their deep dish pizza is amazing. But let's not sugarcoat it. It's been a hub for crime and a poster child for the failed policies of sanctuary cities. And under the new Trump administration, Chicago is being called ground zero for immigration enforcement. Ground zero. Tom Homan and his team are making sure that message is crystal clear to the officials at Chicago, who claim they're going to, at all costs, protect the illegal immigrants. And we're not going to get into that discussion, how I just don't understand why any city would want illegals in their city, but they do. So who better to tag along than Dr. Phil, the guy we usually see dishing out tough love to dysfunctional families on daytime TV? He stepped out of the studio and into the action with Tom Homan. And I got to say, I never thought I'd see the day when Dr. Phil was riding shotgun on ICE operations. But hey, stranger things have happened, right? So here's what went down. Dr. Phil joined Tom Homan. They executed these precision-targeted deportation operations. Now, these aren't your random, indiscriminate sweeps like the left-wing media loves to claim, loves to try to convince you that's what's happening. These are highly calculated missions targeting illegal immigrants with criminal records, serious criminal records. I'm talking about murderers, rapists, child molestation. These are bad people. And let me tell you, some of the stuff that Dr. Phil saw, according to his story, downright shocking. The very first arrest that he witnessed was of a convicted sex offender and internet predator from Thailand. So let that sink in for a minute. Think about that. This guy, who was in the country illegally, was walking the streets of Chicago unbothered thanks to sanctuary city policies. And he was a convicted sex offender, an internet predator from Thailand. Dr. Phil appeared with Jesse Waters and talked about his experience.
Well, I think people are afraid to take a position on this because if they take a position and say we should control the border, then they're labeled as anti-immigration. They're labeled as haters for these different countries that people are coming from. But that's missing the point, isn't it? Because we're not talking about immigration. We're talking about illegal immigration.
Right.
I'm very pro-immigration.
So am I.
We need immigrants in this country. We got a 1.6 birth rate. We need 2.1 to sustain our infrastructure here. I welcome immigrants into this country, but we need to know who they are, don't we? We need to know who it is that's coming into our country. We need to be able to sort through these people, and those that are enemies of the United States that are coming into the country, those that are on the terror watch list coming into the country, those people certainly need to be filtered and stopped. And when you come into the United States illegally, that's a felony.
Yep, Dr. Phil, you're right. It is a felony. It's breaking the law. But yet, a lot of these people who not only broke our law, they broke the law in their homelands. And they've continued to break our laws. Now, in response to Dr. Phil being on this team of ICE agents, the Illinois Attorney General says that Dr. Phil joining an ICE raid was a mockery of law enforcement. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul spoke to CNN's Jim Acosta about the daytime TV talk show host Dr. Phil joining an ICE deportation operation.
You mentioned Dr. Phil, the daytime talk show host. I did want to ask you about that because he is now apparently joining in on Trump's immigration crackdown or getting access to it. He filmed at the ICE command center in Chicago, even questioned a detainee with Tom Homan, the head of ICE. Do you know why Dr. Phil, a TV personality, is getting involved in all of this, getting all this access? What's going on?
I think it's ridiculous. You don't invite folks like that who have no law enforcement background to be embedded within. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's done for the show, and I think it's done to upset community and to score political points with those who want to divide.
And it sounds like he's getting access, whereas we're not seeing the rest of the media getting access. What does that tell you? Isn't that a little strange?
There's Jim Acosta. He's too concerned about who had access to even think about what the real purpose of the raid was and what they were able to accomplish. I mean, that's typical of Jim Acosta, isn't it? He's just jealous because he hasn't been given access. He wasn't invited to be on the raid, and Dr. Phil was. Of course, we all know why Jim Acosta wasn't invited to be on one, because he opposes these raids. Now, again, this wasn't some isolated case. These ICE agents are targeting over 270 high-value targets in Chicago alone, we're told. These are people with records of sexual assault, domestic violence, weapons crimes, you name it, they've done it. And the left wants to paint this as some kind of attack on innocent families. Give me a break. This is about keeping our community safe. This is about returning people who are in our country who should not be here, and they're wreaking havoc wherever they are. Chicago just doesn't want to admit it. And I'll give Dr. Phil credit where it's due. He didn't just stand on the sidelines for this one. He rolled up his sleeves, he got briefed on security protocols, and went in with the team. He even admitted on camera, no less, that this isn't the random, heartless operations that the liberal media wants us to scream about. It's targeted missions. These agents are doing their jobs, and they're doing it well, and they're making our country safe again. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Continuing today's show, boy, I got a lot of text messages and emails, and I wish I could go through all of them with you, but it's just, we just don't have enough time. But let me hit some of the highlights. Katrina writes, "Hey, Joey, thanks for all your great inaugural coverage. It's been quite a week. So much winning," in all caps, she says. "It's hard to keep up with the latest news. We very much appreciate the help immediate results, especially rounding up the illegal alien criminals. I, too, chuckled over ICE showing up to the invitation-only game party." I talked about this in yesterday's show, where ICE in Colorado showed up at an invitation-only party by a bunch of thugs. They were rudely awakened when someone crashed their party, put them in handcuffs, and hauled them off. And Katrina says, and I learned from that raid there's a special pink cocaine. Who knew? Learning so much and loving every minute of Trump 2.0 so far. Well, thank you, Katrina. Appreciate that. Faye writes, Joey, I listened to Mike G talking about Trump giving a pardon to J6ers who may have attacked police. But what about Antifa, etc.? And their deeds, plus Biden pardoned almost everyone on death row. And the police who shot Babbitt was given a promotion. These lefties don't need any fuel or they might become aggressive. Cool heads must prevail. J6ers have paid their dues. Well, there's been a lot of discussion about this, Faye. Let me say one thing, though. Let me correct one thing that you said there. Biden commuted the sentences of death row inmates. He did not pardon them. So they will remain in prison for the rest of their lives. They just won't be put to death. Blake from Greenville, South Carolina, is talking about a story from Greenville, North Carolina. Here's Blake's message on the MyPillow message line.
Hey, morning, Joey. It's Blake from Greenville here. Greenville, North Carolina, Joey. I imagine you probably heard about this. We're just kind of seeing it this morning. I've already called the mayor, which is P.J. Conley of Greenville, North Carolina. The city council up there, which I imagine, just like our city council here in Greenville, is usually a lot bluer than we want it to be. But the city council unanimously voted to fine Camping World up there in I guess, the city or county limits, $250 a day for flying a giant American flag. Just disgraceful. So I don't know if somebody has set up some GoFundMe account. I don't do a lot on social media just because I'm a 41-year-old that doesn't really know much about social media and don't really have time for it either. But we need to get something done about this. Hopefully somebody set up a GoFundMe page, and they're wanting to fine them $250 a day, Joey, for flying an American flag. It's just disgraceful. So have a good day, have a good week, and we will talk to you later. Thanks for all you do, Joey.
Well, thank you, Blake. I appreciate your message, and you can also leave a message. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639 is the MyPillow message lines. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com. And Blake's right. I did a little digging around here. Camping World in Greenville, North Carolina was fined $250 a day for flying a giant American flag atop the 120-foot tall flagpole. According to WITN, the city of Greenville, North Carolina, first began fining Camping World for flying its enormous banner last Wednesday. The outlet reported that the business was first fined $50, then $100, with each subsequent citation being $250. And as of last Friday, the business had racked up $1,150 in fines, according to WITN. Now, the company first began flying the flag, which is 15 times larger than the size permitted on a non-residential property in the city back last October. It's flown, again, it's a 120-foot tall flagpole. If you've ever been by a Camping World, you know this is their signature item. They have these massive flags out on the highways and the interstates to get your attention and to show their patriotism. This is not the first time that Marcus Lemonis has been down this path. There have been others. But according to WITN, the city of Greenville does not allow for flagpoles that exceed the height of 70 feet. And that's another contention here. Well, despite the fines, Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis asserted on social media that the flag would not be coming down. He posted on X, "The flag is not coming down. You can find me all you want to, city of Greenville, North Carolina. Hashtag no American flag is too big." Well, Blake, I got an update to your story here. Since the initial story that you talked about was published, the city of Greenville, North Carolina, says that they're working on a plan. Again, another story from WITN TV. The controversy surrounding this giant American flag. Mayor P.J. Connolly, and Blake, thank you for calling him. He got other calls too. The mayor says that during the city's planning session this week, that the city council voted unanimously to direct staff to develop an ordinance that would allow the flag to continue to fly at Camping World. So, Blake, your voice and a lot of others was heard. Texter, hey, Joey, it's Jennifer. Thanks so much for your compact, rapid-fire news reporting is hard to keep up in fast-paced Trump world, isn't it? Ain't it wonderful? You know, Jennifer, it is. It's hard to keep up. And as I get older, my mind gets slower, and it's even harder for me to keep up. But thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Jack Beatty from Gastonia had a bit of an unusual message that he left on the MyPillow message line. Listen in.
Joey, this is Jack Beatty from Gastonia, North Carolina. This is going to be kind of an unusual call. I bet you don't get one of these very often. I'm calling you about Lake Kiowee. I used to be a very avid scuba diver, and we had heard rumors. We'd been taking people down there because of the clear water, and we were teaching them how to raise boats off the bottom that had sunk. And we heard about this standing building on the bottom of Lake Kiowee. Well, no one could tell us where it was at. It was just a rumor. So we decided about 2004 to dig into what we could find out about it. And lo and behold, we discovered that building does exist, and it was only about 400 yards from where we were teaching people how to raise boats off the bottom. So naturally, we discovered the building, and we set out to dive on it, measure it, and really just take a good look at it. And it's a 3-story brick building sitting on the bottom.
Well, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your interest in my beloved Lake Kiowee. And I did a little digging around on this one as well and talked to some of my friends at Duke Energy. Jack is right. The building that he's talking about, it's a 3-story brick pump house that served as the water treatment plant for the town of Seneca well before Lake Kiowee was built. Now, it sits in 80 feet of water. It offers doors and window openings for divers like Jack to fish and swim through. It's in an area known as the Hot Hole. My buddy Dale Gilbert tells me about the Hot Hole. He loves to fish that area. Evidently, this area, because of the backflow of the water from the nuclear power plant there, it stays at a year-round 70 degrees, and it's a perfect area. The fish love it, I guess. The Hot Hole, as its nickname, occupies about 20 acres of the lake near the Oconee Nuclear Station. So thank you, Jack, for the tip. I didn't know that. Maybe someday I can dive and see it myself. You know, I've never been crazy about scuba diving. I always loved swimming, but I tried doing a scuba class on a cruise that we were on one time. I didn't like the feeling of it. Didn't do so well. Appreciate all your text messages. Again, your messages are welcome on the MyPillow message line as well. Just call 864-477-JOEY and leave your message. On our guest line, Chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, Drew McKissick. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well this morning. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful, thank you. So we had a pretty exciting week last week. Of course, Monday kicked off with the inauguration of President Donald Trump, and you were there. I was there. It was an exciting time in Washington, D.C.
Look, it was a great time. It was, you know, for people who work in politics, it's easy for us to get so close into the details, if you will, the minutiae of politics, that sometimes you sort of, can lose sight of the 30,000-foot view, if you will. But when you go to an event like that and you see the results of what you did, what so many other people did, what the candidates did, in this case, what Trump did as a candidate, and the hard work that goes into it, and then see him be able to take the oath of office, and then, you know, in a whirlwind, in 24 hours to be able to just see 200 executive orders get signed or something like that. It gives you just a real, greater appreciation for what you're involved in. And it's satisfying to see that. And obviously with any elected official, races that you work on in the party and candidates from school board level on up. But the presidency is the big enchilada, and it has just huge outsized impact on everything that we care about in so many ways. And it was just really, really satisfying, and just in a special way, just to be there.
Yeah, it was, and it was just special to see people from all around the country there. Of course, it was a bit disappointing because we weren't able to be inside of the fence, but still, people made the best of it. I ended up. I know you guys had a watch party. You kind of pulled that together at the last minute. I ended up outside of the Capitol on Capitol Street. It's sort of the back entrance, and I found a place there to camp out. Right. Mike Gallagher was back in the nice, warm, toasty studio. He put me out in the weather. But I had such a great time out there talking to people, and I didn't find a single person who really complained about not being able to be inside of the fence and sit there and see the ceremony. They were just happy about the fact that Donald Trump was going to be their president in just a matter of a few minutes.
That's it. That's it. They appreciated, again, the moment and what was happening and the result of all the hard work that they had put in and so many other folks around the country. The weather is the weather, and people understand that. It is what it is. Can't do anything about it. You can complain about it again tomorrow, and it'll change. You can complain about it again. But we brought most of the cold weather back with us here down in South Carolina,
yes.
as a matter of fact.
Yes.
But, again, for folks who work in politics especially, it really just hits you in the face how much we have to appreciate as a nation, despite all the things, obviously, that we have to complain about, and rightly so, but versus other countries around the world.
Yeah.
What we have that in many cases, I think you could rightfully say we take for granted, that we forget about and just don't be thankful for, and to see what happened, what's transpired, how important it truly is to our country now and will be for the next 4 years is just really, really rewarding.
Yep. Well, and he did not waste any time. You referenced a minute ago the hundreds of executive orders that he signed. Talk with us a minute about some of the things that you have seen this past week, and it looks like this week's going to be just as busy.
It's like, which issue do you pick? And I think from immigration orders to DEI, you name it, go down the list. And I think that's part of the whole strategy here is, shock and awe, throw so much stuff at the left at one time that they really can't find any one thing to just all zone in on, push back on, grab the national media narrative on. You've got them totally on their back heels now on every front. And I think that's intentional. That's part of the strategy here. As you and I have talked about before, they know that, one, he's a one-termer in this sense. Two, functionally, once you get to the midterm elections, things begin to wind down. That's just history. That doesn't mean he won't do better than most presidents on that. But, so you've got a good 20 months here before Washington basically shuts down in re-election politics and so forth. And they are on offense, pedal to the metal. And I don't think that's going to change. I think they have potentially strategized it out this way. And again, so many of the issues, when you think about the things that we've all been talking about here for the last year and a half, how many sections are there? Well, there are really only two. Go figure. Having a president have to actually say that publicly and sign an executive order is an amazing thing in and of itself, but we are where we are. But on issues like that and DEI, gutting out the entire federal government, again, seeing what we've seen with Homeland Security and immigration enforcement over the last several days has been incredible.
Yep.
Just seeing the video of the guy from Haiti who had 17 convictions, by the way, not charges, convictions, they say, who's in the country illegally. Just blows the mind. But the fact that ICE could go and put their hands on 1,000 convicted illegal immigrants who are at large in the country tells you how many more are at large right now. That's amazing. Inside of 24 hours to grab 1,000 of them.
Yeah. It just seemed effortless. Yeah, it just seemed like it took no effort at all to go out and nab 1,000 or so. And as Tom Homan said last night, there's going to be many more to come real quick. So with me today, Drew McKissick, chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party. And I thought it was kind of interesting and humorous in a way, too, how the Colombian president played a game of chicken with Donald Trump and lost.
That's right. Don't play chicken with him. Don't play poker with him. Not a good idea. Ends badly. And look, I think the reason I believe that Trump took the steps he did and just escalated to 10 as quick as he could with this guy was to make him an object lesson of these other countries who need to be taking their illegal aliens back. And because there are going to be flights going to all kinds of countries all over the world, South America, Central America, Africa, Asia, you name it. And to put them on notice right away with the conversation, you can call it a conversation, with the Colombian president, I think was intentional.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was kind of nuts that the Colombian president says, well, we want them to come home in dignity. They can't come home in a Air Force plane. I'm going to send my presidential plane to pick them up. Well, hey, do it. Just get them out of here one way or the other,
So sneaking in under the fence, that's dignity, and then okay, whatever.
Yeah. Wow, it is nuts for sure. Drew McKissick, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate your time, and hey, looks like we're going to have lots to talk about in the coming weeks, and we'll check in with you again next week.
Fantastic. Have a great one.
You too. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.